If you are selling a home in San Mateo, Burlingame, Hillsborough, Millbrae, Pacifica, South San Francisco, or San Bruno, listen up, because there's an inspection most first-time sellers don't even know exists, and it can stop your sale dead at the closing table. It's called a sewer lateral inspection. It's required by city ordinance, and no matter how clean your contract is, no matter how qualified your buyer is, no matter how much both want to close on time, if the city hasn't signed off on your sewer lateral, escrow is not closing. I've watched sellers find out about this 2 weeks before close, scrambling to get a plumber out, negotiating last-minute credits, sometimes paying five-figure repair bills they didn't budget for. All of it avoidable. So in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly how this works, what it costs, and how to keep it from blowing up your timeline. Here's what I'm covering. First, what a sewer lateral actually is, which 7 cities require this, and why these cities and not others. Second, the real benefits of doing this proactively, what it costs, and how my clients get this inspection done at no charge. Third, what happens when it fails. This is the part most sellers don't see coming. And fourth, the simple thing I tell every one of my sellers to do before we even put the sign in the ground. So let's start with the basics. Because this term sewer lateral is one of those things nobody talks about until suddenly it's the only thing everyone is talking about. Your sewer lateral is the pipe that runs from your house out to the city's main sewer line under the street. It's on your property. It's your responsibility to maintain. And in most Peninsula homes, especially anything built before 1980, the pipe is older clay or cast iron, and it's been sitting underground for decades. Possibly cracking, possibly leaking, possibly tree roots growing into it. Cities care about this because when laterals leak, untreated sewage can get into the groundwater and into the bay. So a few years back, after some pretty serious litigation around Bay Area water quality, San Mateo County cities started passing ordinances that require sellers to prove their lateral is in good shape before the home changes hands. Here are the 7 cities that have point-of-sale sewer lateral requirements right now. San Mateo, Burlingame, Hillsborough, Millbrae, Pacifica, South San Francisco, and San Bruno. If your home is in any of those 7 cities, this applies to you. If you're in Belmont, St. Carlos, Redwood City, Foster City, or unincorporated San Mateo County, there's currently no point-of-sale requirement, but rules can change, and a few cities are studying their own ordinances right now. And one more thing worth knowing, the rules are not the same city to city. Pacifica and Millbrae require an actual video camera inspection of the line. Burlingame and Hillsborough have their own methodology. San Bruno only requires it for homes that are 50 years or older. Each city has its own form, its own contractor list, and its own process. So the answer to what do we need to do depends entirely on which side of the street you're on. Now, you might be wondering why these 7 cities and not, say, Belmont, Redwood City, St. Carlos. Honestly, it comes down to history. About 15 years ago, an environmental group sued a number of Peninsula cities over sewage overflows ending up in the bay. The cities named in those cases got pushed through legal settlement to crack down on leaky private laterals, because that's where a huge chunk of groundwater seeps into the sewer system during heavy rains. Those cities moved first. The ones that weren't named in the lawsuits have either kicked the can down the road or decided the political cost of putting another expense on sellers isn't worth it. A few are studying their own ordinances right now. So if you're in Belmont, St. Carlos, Redwood City, or Foster City, you might not have to deal with this today. But don't be surprised if your city joins the list in the next few years. Now, I want to flip the framing on this for a second. Most sellers hear city-required inspection and they think, great, one more hoop to jump through. But here's what I want you to actually take away. Handled correctly, this inspection is protection for you, not just a bureaucratic checkmark. Think about it. Your buyer is going to do their own home inspections regardless. If your sewer lateral has a problem, they're going to find out one way or another, usually at the worst possible time when you have the least leverage. A passing city certificate is documented proof that one of the most expensive hidden systems in your house is in good shape. That's a clean disclosure item. That's one less thing for buyer's agents to use as a negotiation point. And in most cities, that certificate stays good for several years. So if the sale falls through and you relist, you're still covered. It's a long-term asset for the property. There's also a real environmental piece to this, which matters to a lot of buyers on the peninsula. A sound sewer lateral means no untreated sewage leaking into the soil and no groundwater seeping into the city sewer system during heavy rains. That's part of why these ordinances exist in the first place. And for buyers who care about that, a passing certificate is one more box checked. Now, let's talk about costs. The honest answer is, it depends on who you call. Some plumbers charge for the camera work, the report, the city submission, and depending on who you hire, those numbers can add up. Here's the part I want you to hear though. I work with a plumber here on the peninsula who runs these inspections at no charge for my clients. Zero. He brings the camera, runs the line, fills out the city form, submits it. And if you're listing with me, that entire line item just goes away before we even start. That's a real number off your closing costs, no friction in the timeline, and one less decision you have to make. The repair side is a different conversation. If your line fails and needs work, repair costs across the peninsula run anywhere from about $1,500 to $15,000. And in some cases, especially with older homes near mature trees, you may be looking at trenching across your front yard, replacing landscaping, even cutting and patching the sidewalk or street. The good news, and this is something most sellers don't know, the city of San Mateo has historically offered a cost-sharing grant program that can reimburse property owners for up to 50% of lateral replacement costs, up to $5,000. Other cities have offered similar programs in the past, so before you write a check for the full repair, ask. There may be money on the table. Now, here's the section I really want you to pay attention to, because this is where I see sellers get hurt. Most first-time sellers don't even hear the words sewer lateral until escrow is already open. So picture this. You've accepted a great offer. Buyer is qualified. Inspections are clean. You've already started packing. Maybe you've put a down payment on your next place. Closing in 3 weeks. Then your agent, or hopefully your agent, flags that the city requires a sewer lateral inspection before close. You scramble to get a plumber out. There's a 2-week wait because everybody's booked. They finally come, run the camera, and the line fails. Crack near the city main, root intrusion at 30 feet, offset joint by the cleanout. Now what? Now you've got a choice. You can pay for the repair yourself, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, and try to keep your closing date. You can negotiate a credit with your buyer to take the problem on. But most buyers don't want to deal with a major sewer dig their first month in the home. So they'll usually push back on price. Or you can ask the buyer to extend the closing date. And if they're locked into the rate or they're moving out of a rental or their kids are starting school, that extension might not be possible. I had a seller in Burlingame a couple years back. Beautiful house, clean transaction otherwise, and her lateral failed 3 weeks before close. We ended up negotiating a $6,000 credit, and she still had to coordinate the repair after closing because the buyer wanted to move in on time. Stressful, expensive, and entirely preventable. The pattern is always the same. Sellers who handle this before listing have leverage. Sellers who find out during escrow are negotiating from behind. So here's exactly what I tell every seller in one of these 7 cities. And this is the action plan I wish more people had before they called me. Step 1. Figure out if your city's ordinance applies to your specific property. Check whether there's an existing certificate from the previous owner that's still valid. In some cities, a passing inspection from the last 5 to 7 years means you're already done. That's a 5-minute phone call to the city's public works department, and it could save you thousands. Step 2. If you do need an inspection, schedule it before you list, not after the offer comes in, not during inspection contingency, before the photos go up. This way, if there's a problem, you have time and leverage to deal with it on your timeline, not the buyer's. Step 3. Get the inspection done by a contractor who knows your specific city's requirement. The submission forms, the file format for the video, even what counts as a passing line. These vary by jurisdiction. The plumber who passed someone's lateral in Pacifica isn't automatically going to know what San Mateo or Hillsborough wants on the paperwork. Ask. Step 4. If you fail, don't panic. Get 2 or 3 quotes for the repair before you commit. Ask about the city's cost-sharing or grant program if there is one. Then factor the resolution into your pricing strategy from the start before the home is on the market. Handled this way, the sewer lateral is a non-issue, a line item, done weeks before the listing goes live. Handled the other way, found out about during escrow, it can cost you the deal. So, that's the deal with the sewer lateral inspection in San Mateo County. 7 cities require it before you can close. There are real benefits to handling it proactively, and the single biggest thing you can do to start this process before you list, not after. Here's the offer. If you're thinking about selling in San Mateo, Burlingame, Hillsborough, Millbrae, Pacifica, South San Francisco, or San Bruno, call or text me directly at 650-274-3598. 2 things I'll do for you. First, I'll send you the checklist for your specific city, the form, the contractor list, the timeline, same day. Second, if you list your home with me, I have a plumber on the Peninsula who runs the entire camera inspection for my clients at no cost, 0. That's a real expense off your closing before we even start. I'd rather you know about this 6 months out than 3 weeks before close, so make the call. And if this video saved you a headache, hit subscribe. I put out videos like this every couple weeks, specifically for Peninsula buyers and sellers. Real local stuff, no fluff. I'll see you in the next one.